Danesha's gonna be a little bit. Hey guys. Danesha, I'm just waiting for Danesha. She's gonna be a little maybe 5 minutes, so I'll just wait till she comes and we'll start. Hey. Oh, I am exhausted. I have had a long morning. I've been up since 4 in the morning. You see I look tired, right? So today, we're going to be talking about the awakening that you have as mothers. I feel like for me, my awakening began a little bit before I had children. What's up, Kaylani? What do you mean, Mama? Hold on, let me finish this, okay? My awakening started prior to me. No. Go to that over there. It's just sleeping. Turn it off. These children. Hold on. My awakening actually started prior to me having children, which is why I made a lot of the decisions that I made when I had children. So my awakening actually started when I started changing my diet. For most people that know, when I was younger, when I was about 21, I got diagnosed with PCOS and pre-diabetic and high cholesterol. So I had went on a plant-based diet for 3 months and she healed me completely. But at that point, I was young, so I didn't even keep up with it. I just went back to the bullshit eating or whatever. So as I got older, and then I moved to California when I was 29. At about 30 years old, I started just getting more into learning about foods and what it does to your body and things of that nature. So the first thing that I had did was I had did a 30-day no sugar and no processed foods challenge. And when I did that, that's pretty much when my awakening started. And I started tapping into just meditation more deeply. And from that point on, I started getting into more of history and learning about history. Welcome everyone who's coming in. History and diving into that. And that kind of, took a domino effect. And that's when I started learning about, hey, Danesha. I started learning about home births and all that good stuff. I actually had watched a documentary called, hold on 1 second, let me get Danesha in here. Documentary called The Business of Being Born, which if you haven't seen that documentary, hey girl.
Hey, I didn't even see this except, oh my God, thank God I wasn't doing nothing crazy.
Yeah, I look crazy. I'm so exhausted. I've been running around all morning. But, so The Business of Being Born is a documentary that Ricky Lake did because she had given birth in a hospital and had a really bad experience. So then she went and decided to have a home birth. So she just started breaking down the business of hospitals and what they do. And when I saw that was my confirmation of me now doing my homework to give birth at home. So I got into that, and then as I got into that, it seems like for the most part I just kept meditating on truth, on revealing truth to me within myself, and also revealing truth to me of what I don't know that's out there. Because what you learn when you go into your awakening is that you don't know shit. You realize that everything you have been taught from childhood to adulthood is a lie. The history in school is a lie. The medical field that we trusted so much has so many flaws and holes in it. The the country that we subscribe, the corporation that we subscribe to, let me correct that, because this is a corporation operating on this land, it's not the country. So
Mhm.
these institutions that run this country have been lying to us for a very, very long time, and that's what you learn. That's what I learned in the awakening. So when you start to put the pieces together and you start to see that everything is connected, everything is connected, that's when you start to tap into what Danesha talked about in the last live, and it's sovereignty, and it's becoming self-sufficient. It's learning how to now eat the proper foods that are going to give you the energy and all the things that you need to keep you going, eating the right foods that are going to keep your mental state in a clear place. um Anytime I need to manifest something or do something, if I'm not eating right, I can't do it. I can't meditate properly. I can't do anything right. So I've learned that food is truly is God. It's the life force that keeps me going 100% when I need to make the right decisions. Um Also, when you get into everything, you start to learn about as well. Like, I know my awakening, like I said, it was like a domino effect of everything. Also came into learning about financial literacy. I had learned it, but I didn't really tap into it that much. And then as I started again to dive deeper into this, I started to see the entire game that was played on us, on giving us this comfortable life that they say is for us. Yeah. So it's like, here's your 9 to 5. You can have benefits, you can have health insurance, you can have all these things. But outside of being a writer, I had my own medical billing business for 10 years, and I did medical billing for 20 years. And what I did learn with that was that all they cared about was the money. It had nothing to do with your health. There were trials that would be done. I remember for HIV patients, and I will never forget the doctor telling me to make sure that they signed the release form, because if they died, they did not want to be held responsible. And that to me disturbed me so much, because I'm like, how are we playing with people's lives like this? And I also started to get into the pharmaceutical industry, and realizing that 90% of what these Western medicine doctors are about is about profit. It's a $1 billion, 10, $12 billion business that only stays alive because of you. The
Because of
more,
instant gratification. We
yeah,
want to deal with what it is at the moment and
yeah.
disregard the roots of everything.
Disregard the roots. So I started tapping into healing myself. I'm probably the most healthy I've ever been in my entire life at 39 years old. I know more than I did before. Nothing that I learned afterwards have I ever learned in school. I didn't learn any of that in school. I mean, we are taught more how to fill out a job application, as opposed to how to fill out a home ownership application. Like, that says a lot. But what I learned was that my main thing of learning of through my awakening was that everything was told to me on what to do and how to be, and
I'm
all
gonna
those
look for
things
something. I'm
all those
listening.
things I had to undo, because I was like, who the fuck am I outside of what everybody told me I was supposed to do, or how I was supposed to do it? And now it seems that people like myself, like Danesha, that now go against the norm and do things more naturally, and practice a more sovereign life, are criticized and judged, and they like push us into this category of people that are like only do, like only follow like Facebook or Instagram and education. It's like, first of all, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram are not bad education. They're not where the source is at, but you can find something there that will then catapult you into learning and finding books and meeting people. There's people that I've never even met, but just off the books that I've told them about and different things that I've shared, they've jumped into their awakening.
Yeah.
So you can't knock it all, like people are so blind and just want to assume that because you don't have a white coat, or you're not in a fucking law office, or you're all these things, that you don't know what you're doing. But the truth is, all those people are indoctrinated to the education that they're giving you. 90% of them don't know shit. They're just giving you a script of what they were giving.
Yeah. Today I was just like thinking while I was like folding some clothes. I was just like trying to go into like a meditative state. And as I'm breathing, I'm like, yo, something popped up of like somebody thinking and talking about critical race theory. And I was like, yo, but they don't really understand that the reason why these children are acknowledging these stereotypes is because they're realizing, and I wrote it down because I was like, I can't forget it. They're realizing that your repetitive behavior is what stereotypes you, right? So then I started thinking of like stereotypes, and I'm like, yo, what we don't realize is that we were one thing and they wanted us to be another thing. So they started making these stereotypes, and now we placed ourselves into these categories. Yeah. So, but and I'm sure a lot of people know that, and a lot of people are conscious to that. But what we're not conscious is to the fact that, like, we have manifestation power. Like this whole, like, like we think it's predictive behavior, but it's not predictive behavior. We manifest literally what we speak. So it's like I wrote
here spells like, with our words.
Yeah. So I was like, yo, it's predictability, and someone is telling us what to perceive. So we predict what they want us to manifest for them. It's like in reality, we're the ones with the power. We're the ones that speak the words. We're the ones that put the spells out there. And
here's a perfect example to that. There was a time, what was his name? Eric Gardner, the one that got killed by the police, and then everybody was like, I can't breathe, and they were chanting that.
I think it was George Floyd. Was it because of him, or maybe it was?
I can't remember. I can't remember, but it was one of those big high profile police killings. And I remember seeing everybody with this shirt saying, I can't breathe. And that to me,
it seemed wrong, right?
It showed me where the state of our people are at. And I'm like, okay, y'all don't see what y'all doing. You guys are literally manifesting that by continuously chanting, I can't breathe, I can't breathe, I can't breathe. And somehow people think they're doing some revolutionary thing by doing that. That shit ain't revolutionary, bro. Like, that shit was straight stupid. What you are is you can breathe. You are breathing, and because of that,
and you will breathe.
You will breathe, and you will continue to breathe to fight for these people that can't breathe. But you can't say you can't breathe. Like,
yeah, it's like they made a it's like a reverse role. Like literally, it's literally a reverse. Like instead of using our words to empower us, we're empowering ourselves with.
We're empowering them with what they've done. With what they've done.
I'm a hoe. I'm a slut. Like, no, you cannot say that about yourself and then demand respect. Like, no, you can say, yeah, I can do whatever I want and still be a human being, because that's what that is. But don't say I am a blah, 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 and then expect to be respected for those titles. Like, those titles are not respected titles. That's why we give them to people.
This is the thing, is that, like, prior to having children, I never realized how certain things in my childhood, certain things I was listening to, music, watching, I didn't realize how bad it was until I had children. Mm-hmm. Okay? And I was like, oh, hell no. Like, nah, I can't have them listening to certain things. We became an over-sexualized society that now we have to prove ourselves through our sexuality. And that disturbs me a lot because I have daughters now and also a son who I want to teach him how to respect women. I want to show my daughters how to respect themselves, but how hypocritical can I be? Because I'm not gonna lie, yeah, when I was fucking 13, I was sitting there, you know, rapping to Little Kim's hardcore album.
Yeah.
And when I look back at the shit I was saying, mind you, I was a virgin. I'm here like, what the fuck? Oh my God. So you think I'm dead ass gonna have my child listen to Cardi B? No.
No,
I
yeah.
think not.
No, and
I
then
think not.
we also somehow have been brainwashed into believing that those lyrics will not affect them at all. Because that's another thing. Like, that's a moment where I had to realize that even after I had them. It wasn't before I had them that I realized. No, I was in the middle of my mom's living room. I remember the moment like it was yesterday where I was listening to a song. I don't even remember the song because all I remember was the moment where I realized what I just spoke to myself.
Yeah.
And I was like, why would I say that to myself? And that's when it clicked. Like, why do I sing these songs? Why do I? And I know, because the thing is too that they've mixed, it's like a truth sandwich, right? They
Yeah.
put they put like the bad words and all the degradation and the self-hate, they put it in this patty, and then they put it in with like, you know, all these artists that inspire us, and then
Yeah.
the beats that are indigenous to us, that beats the beats that we like, that actually are meant to move our bodies and change our frequencies. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, that's what they give us. So we were here like, because we're like, hey, but then we're not realizing what we're actually speaking to ourselves.
Yeah, and you know, it's not to even because I know some people probably think like
You're gonna take it too deep.
we're going too deep. We're like little prunes now. Everything bothers us. But it's that no, because let me tell you something. What I learned as a parent is that I have full control of what type of child this person is going to, what type of person this child is going to be. Okay? How they're going to treat other people in society, how they're going to look at themselves. Okay? When I was younger, I hated myself. I'll be honest. I always used to straighten my hair because when I was raised in the 80s, okay? Like we didn't have no Netflix, we didn't have no Hulu, we didn't have a bunch of channels. Cable, when I got cable, I was like 14 by the time I got cable. So prior to that, I only had like your channel 2, channel 5, channel 7, channel 9, channel 11, 13, and like 2 other Spanish channels. So, and what I was, you know, like indoctrinated with was white is right. And I talk about this in my book. So I would think also because I was in the entertainment industry doing acting and things and dancing, I would always straighten my hair. I hated my hair curly because I felt like if I had my hair straight, I would book more gigs. And I would. That was the crazy part. I dyed my hair blonde. Like I did all these things to be accepted in society.
Yeah.
You know, and that came from the brainwash of certain music, certain artists. Hey mama. Certain artists I saw, certain things that I saw, you know. So because of that, I know what influence it had on me, and my parents weren't conscious enough to know what type of influence it was having on me, so they weren't paying attention to that. They weren't thinking about that. But now as a parent, I do think about that. It's even like now, if listen, I listen to hardcore hip hop. I love Eminem. I love Wu-Tang Clan. They curse a lot.
Yeah.
Right? But it's crazy how you don't really hear the curses until you're listening to the song with your child.
It's like they stand out.
Stands out more. You're like, oh my God. Like,
oh wow.
Like, damn.
I did that the other day. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, take it off, you know? But you know, and now it's an even scarier time because you have YouTube and these spaces that these kids now have. And I remember my son loves like Sonic the Hedgehog and Super Mario Brothers. So he'll watch the video game on YouTube, like, you know, like a replay of the video game. But at times it'll go into other videos. You know how it is with YouTube. And I remember like even recently I heard like it was an adult talking, like an adult playing a video game, but like talking about the video game. But first of all, I think he cursed or said something. And I was like, why is he listening to an adult? Because who knows what this adult is saying?
Yeah.
You feel what I'm saying? So I was like, Tristan, you can't watch stuff that has these people. You want to watch the video game? That's fine. But then also, even that was an issue because it was like, Some of them I saw where it was like a title and it said Tails and his tantrums, and I'm like, Then I saw another one, 50 ways to kill Tails. Like, these things are, people don't understand. Like, you could call me fucking anal all you want, but these are little subconscious programmings that go into their brain, okay? And it starts manifesting a certain way,
Yeah.
okay? Throughout time, if you keep hearing it, you keep hearing it, you keep hearing it. And it's like, So now I'm even iffy. Exactly, subconscious programming. I'm even iffy like when he watches YouTube now, like even YouTube now. Now I'm like, nope, let me see who's watching. I'm like, you know what, Tristan? No, put on a show on Hulu or put on a show on Netflix or things of that nature. Because if I'm not there to monitor it, who knows what he could be watching? And that's the thing about this, what we're talking about today, about an awakening inside of you in realizing that you have to take full control of your children's lives, or somebody else is going to raise your children. The same way that technically we got raised by the system, most of us, not by our parents. We got raised by the system because our parents were stuck working so much trying to make ends meet, they couldn't monitor everything. You know, they didn't know the education. A matter of fact, my dad did know the education was bullshit, because what was funny was every time I would come home and tell my dad what I learned, he would say, "That's bullshit. That's not what happened. Sit down, let me tell you what happened." And he would tell me what happened, but then I would think he was crazy because he was the only one saying it. And everybody else is telling me this. And I used to be like, is he sure that's not true? Because why would they teach it to me, is what I thought. I couldn't fathom that they would lie to me. I'll be honest. Like, I couldn't fathom that these teachers I loved and I respected so much, this education that I worked so hard for, you know what I mean, to be a straight A student and do this and do that, was lying to me. But they were, you know, like, I look back.
They didn't know they were lying, though.
That's the thing. They didn't know they were lying. They didn't know.
I do want to talk about of awakening also, because it also happens in parts. It's not like, you know, like, yeah, okay, I'm not gonna lie, I had an awakening yesterday. Guess what? I had an awakening last week. You know what I'm saying? Like, the first set of like awakenings, and the reason why like we say awakenings is because people don't really understand how deep this programming goes. Like, we don't understand that it's been years and like generation after generation after generation. There's like at least 6 or 7 generations down. Yeah. Whether you were born in this country or not, you were affected by that some way or somehow. So when we tell you that even we be going against our own intuition to not be like, damn, everything is connected. Damn, I shouldn't say bad words. Damn, I shouldn't do this. I shouldn't do that. Like, we really fought that in the beginning when we go through awakening. We really fight that because we don't even want to come to the conclusion that everything does matter. Absolutely everything. What I'm saying right now, I'm putting that out. It matters. I'm going to have some sort of effect from this later on in the future. So that's another thing that I think people don't understand. It's not just one day to the next. Oh my God, you just like, you understand.
And that's it.
And it's like, we tend to do that. Like how you were saying of like the Instagram videos or YouTube, like we tend to be like, oh, where you got that from? YouTube? I don't even want to hear it. But we're so like programmed and like, we don't see it, that like I've shared videos with someone, not because it's on Instagram, but because that was somebody took their time to put the things together exactly how I would like to explain it to someone. And I'll be like, yo, watch this video. And they'll literally go to that person's Instagram page and go through their story and see what type of person this is.
And then
all this stuff. And they'll be like, that person is crazy. And I'm like, first of all, I don't even know that person. Let's go there. But the second thing is that my whole thing is we got to stop ignoring the messages just because it's from certain people, right? Because we don't realize.
Dismiss the messenger and just take the message. That's it.
Exactly. Because the second that you go through the awakening of realizing that your perception is what controls everything, that's when you be like, oh, this person wasn't crazy. Let me listen to what this person was saying. Or, oh, this mom is not overprotective. This mom actually saw things that other moms didn't see. Or, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just that people don't see that. It's your perception of it. And what's worse about it is that you don't realize, but the perception is all internal conflicts. So if you're projecting that onto someone, seek inside yourself, because there's most likely something wrong there. You're not always gonna be like that, but it is, you know. So that's one thing about like awakenings. Like, we also have to, when you see someone
you keep
suffering,
evolving in it. You keep evolving in it.
exactly. When you see someone like evolving and going through that process of changing everything and it looks chaotic, stop dismissing those people, because it's like those are the people that are basically like being sacrificed for the greater good, like for this download of information that we need as a society. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I think the first awakening, when you get the real one, is probably the hardest, I think. I know for me, I cried a lot.
I cried. I still cry. I cried yesterday.
I remember when Danesha had hers. I remember her when we were talking. But I remember I cried a lot. I cried a lot because I felt like I woke up from this dream, and I was like, where the fuck have I been at? Like, how could I not see certain things? Like, I was so baffled at how good they were. I'll be honest.
The strategy.
Like, I'm like, these motherfuckers are geniuses. Like, wow. Like, they did a, like, who knew? Like, you did that. You did that shit because, whoa, like, I was completely blind. And a lot of it, I look back in the entertainment industry, and me being a young person in the arts, and certain things that I had to deal with and see and accepted, because I wanted to be a star and I wanted to take care of my family and da-da-da-da-da, right? And then you're like, hold up, this is a whole fucking plantation with a bunch of rich slaves and a bunch of poor ones begging to be the rich slaves, not the poor slaves. That's what I ended up realizing what Hollywood was about. You know, like, everything, you know, catapulted into my awakening. And I know that a lot of artists that, you know, I know and people that are famous, and they would always be like, you know, you can't just be posting all these things, Jenn, because these producers and all these people, you know, can see that. And I was like, you think I give a fuck? Like, I may have given a fuck before, but if I'm saying it, it's because I don't give a fuck no more, because I'm going to be who I'm going to be. If you don't want to give me a role, if you don't want to work with me because of my truth, and not even my truth, but the truth of what it is, not what you want it to be, then fuck you. Like, I don't give a fuck. Nobody controls my destiny. Nobody can tell me what to do, what to say, you know. And you look at these celebrities, and they're probably like the most damaging people to our children and to our community in general, because just because you're rich doesn't mean you have knowledge. Like, this you may have because of your talent and your gift. That does not mean you have knowledge. Because when you do have knowledge and you say something, you will be blacklisted. Okay? So a lot of people, even if they know certain truths, they're not going to share it, because all they care about is their money and their family. So they will sit there with you and lie to you, go on campaigns, do all these different things with all these politicians. How did celebrities mix into politicians, mix into it just, you know what I mean? All these things are part of the awakening. It's starting to see things for what it is. And that is why I don't want my children to be worshiping these artists and these celebrities, because I know that 99% of them are fucking stupid. And they're not going to guide my children to the highest level of who they need to be.
Yeah. Not only that, but those people they're also controlled. And people don't like, okay, people love to, and I know, because I'm people. I used to be one of those people. Like, I would say, Coño, tú te pasa. Like, why everything always
Me
gotta
too.
be something? That's what I would say. But then when I realized, it's like, first of all, these people are telling you to do things that they don't do. That's the number one thing.
Yep.
First of all, those are the people that you should not be listening to. That's the problem. I'm telling you, everything is flip side. It's all backwards. And it's like the people that you are over here listening to, that they know what it is and all this stuff. Those people, first of all, they're always depressed. No matter how you fucking look at it, they're always depressed, or they're always going through some shit. And it's like, people don't realize how much money you can't get out of the way of life. You can't, because you don't, that's what matters. So it's like, you could put yourself in all these situations, but something's gonna take you right out if you don't belong there. These celebrities are the ones that are also telling everybody to get V'd and to wear the you know what on their faces and all these things. And it's like, so okay, we can't do this double thing. Are we all going through a pandemic? Or are only certain people going through?
Only certain people
Because
going
if
through.
it is certain people, then it's not a pandemic. Like, do you understand? These are the people that we're worshiping. The people that double speak, that don't even, nothing makes sense. They contradict each other all day. They tell you to be a hoe, but then they're in their relationships all happy and stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's also, you can tell when an artist is going through like some sort of awakening, and how they get shut down again. And that's why people, as I say, I went through that awakening when I was a child, as to like, why am I following what another human being has to do? And I thank God that since that day, I have never looked at any other human being like, oh,
superior,
that's it.
Yeah.
Never.
No.
I don't want to be like Beyonce. Fuck Beyonce. I don't want to be like none of these people. F all those people, because they don't know anything. I will take my life over those lives any day.
That's the thing. You know what's sad about that industry too is that what I learned was, I remember me had already planning, like I wanted to have children. And at the time that I, made the conscious decision, like, okay, we're going to start a family now, everybody was like, why would you have a baby now? Like, your career is going so good. You wrote these scripts. They got distribution. You got this going on. You got that going on. And I was like, because I want to. Because this is where I'm at in my life. And if I sit there and wait for Hollywood to tell me, or when my career is perfect, or when I got this or that to have a children, I may never have children. I see these people in the industry that are like 50 years old and wish they would have had children, but they were sitting there, no, because my career. Let me tell you something. I control everything in my life, and that's what I know. If I want to be in the fucking arts, I'll be in the arts. If I fucking don't, I don't. If I want to do something else because that's not working no more, then I'll do something else. At the end of the day, nobody's going to stop my hustle or my money. That's on me. I'm not in it to be a fucking movie star that everybody knows. I don't even like attention to that degree. Like, I always tell everybody who knows me, I have scripts that I'm in, and we're pitching, and they're powerful scripts and all this stuff. I don't even want to be involved. I just want to do it, shoot it, and I'm out. Like, I'll be ghost. I don't like to be around all these people. I've been around those people. I trust me, I've seen everything there is to see.
Yeah.
There ain't nothing to see at the end of the day. So that's why I was like, no, I'm gonna have children. And what I realized after I had children was my work got better. My writing got better. That's when I was inspired to do the documentary that I'm doing, that is going to be the most powerful documentary that ever comes out. You will see. I started to do things on my own, and I'm still successful in it. You see what I'm saying? So
yeah.
The awakening, what it does to you, if you let it allows you to take control of your life and not let nobody else control your life, whether it be Hollywood, whether it be your job, whether it be your family. Like, homegirl was saying here, like, your family will sit there and you'll be the crazy one. I'm cool with being the black sheep and the crazy one. I promise you I am, because the things that I have done for my children, as far as in, how they operate in this country, is revolutionary. My children are not owned by no system, by nobody. I own my children. Meaning, if they ever came here and were like, oh, your child needs to be X, Y, and Z, they can't pull that with me because I'm not under the jurisdiction. So this shit is deep, like, and many won't even understand what I'm saying right now because that shit is like Chinese to people. But this is why you can't follow the crowd, because me, when I stopped following the crowd is when I started to learn the truth about everything, and also how to not be a product of what they wanted me to be.
Which is so important.
You know, that's why I gave birth at home. Do you know how many people criticize me about giving birth at home? Even people I know personally that are in the medical field, that was dangerous, that this, that, blah, 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 you know? And had I not been at the state where I was in my awakening, I probably would have fell into that fear because I would have been vulnerable. But because I had did my homework, I did my due diligence, I did my studies, nobody could tell me shit. Like nobody could put that fear in me to stop me in what I was doing. And like I said in the beginning, the awakening, it was hard. It was a hard pill for me to swallow, that everything I fucking learned, everything I subscribed to was bullshit. But I'm grateful that now as a mom, I'm able to walk in this awakening and actually provide to them a different future that's going to change the future of this world.
Of the whole
Because
entire
the entire world, because the children are the future. What we do with our children today will be what happens in the next 10 years, in the next 20 years, in the next 30 years. Okay? Now, there's a lot going on right now, and you have to be very, very careful on who is around your children, what your children are watching, who is teaching your children, because we have to understand that there's one thing, there's education that you're taught, right? And that's going to get you through whatever, right? Your day, your every day, right? You need to learn how to read, you need to learn math, you need to learn all these different things, right? But historically, if you're not involved in your child's education, your child will be taught a different history that will have the white is right mentality. And I want my children to know that they are God's. They come from God. They are the original people of this world, of this planet. Okay? I need them to understand that, because when we were younger and we were just given this story that we all come from slaves, what do you think of yourself? You think of yourself as that. Everything affects your mental state. So now you move like a slave, which is what 90% of people do here. They move like a slave. In order to take their children to the doctor, they gotta ask permission. In order to go on vacation, they gotta ask permission. In order to get what, they gotta get permission. Like they gotta get permission from somebody. Like that shit is crazy to me when I read that.
You know, another thing that I also realize is like we don't deep down, we don't really truly understand the, like I said, the strategies that went down. Like we really don't understand, because that's one of the first breakthroughs. And like I'm gonna stop saying awakening, because it was a breakthrough. Like I broke through that, and it was like the religion one. I was blessed to
Don't
go.
do it to them, girl.
I was blessed to do like my whole catecismo, eating the bread, all of that. I did it late. I did it, and I even got baptized at like, I think I was 13 or 14 years old. So I did everything at once, and I know everything happens for a reason. My grandma would always go to church, and I would spend a lot of time with my grandma when my mom was working, so she would take me to church with her. And I would hear this, and I would try to understand, and I'm like, the blood of Christ. I'm like, yo, so they just be drinking the blood like that? I thought Jesus Christ had like a flow of blood somewhere that all these people could drink. I'm telling you, child, because we really don't want to go there. But a child's mind and the adult mind are not the same thing. Like we need to stop putting these things that, oh, if you explain it to them, no, they're not gonna understand anything, because their mind doesn't work like that.
Yep.
Look at what I was thinking when I was going to church, right? Thankfully, I went to this study, right, in order to do all these things. I did all of that, right? And I had so many questions. I was not allowed to ask questions.
Nope.
I was told to put my ass in the corner and just read the book in silence, because people like me are not welcome in those spaces. Which is crazy, because if your religion is so true, you will have, I actually like people that Come ask me questions, because I want to be able to answer them and have a conversation. And if I don't know something, you show me different. And that way we learn together. But we have this whole whatever. The point being about that is that then in school, I'm learning about evolution. So check this. This was my first, like, oh snap, what are they doing to us? This was the first time. I was like 17 years old. And one day somebody's talking about religion, and I go into the church, like I was talking to my grandma, and we go into the church, and I realized for the first time that everybody's white on all the glass, all the stained glass, right? Because I was learning in school, if you think about it for 1 second, they teach you that we come from monkeys. So in reality, then you, as a person that looks like me, you go to church and all you see is people that look like this on the walls. Now you're thinking there's two different types of people. That's what happened to me. And that doesn't mean, oh, I'm an exception. No, this is what's happening to children. We are creating racist children, because then they go into their churches and their communities and all they see is white people. So what do they think? That the white people were divine and were placed here, and that the monkeys somehow evolved somewhere, because all you see is the dark fur on the monkeys, not realizing that if you shave a monkey, what color is it? Pale. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was my very first, like, what is happening with this education system? And I was 17 years old, and I had to swallow that like a 10-pound pill until I was like 25 years old, where I was just like, fuck all of this, and I'm gonna say what I have on my mind, because none of this shit makes sense anyways.
Yep. You ever saw there was Cat Williams did one of his comedy shows, and he was like, we came from monkeys, and he was like, so what happened to the other monkeys? Those are the retarded monkeys? They didn't even
because that's another thing. We have so many questions as children, but one of the questions that I raised up, and I was like, yo, so where are the monkeys that are halfway into development? If this is what happens in the world, where are the ones that are transitioning right now? Like, this don't make no sense. Like, we just went through a transition and then we stopped, but those monkeys stayed like monkeys and then we stayed like this. Like, that don't make no sense.
No, it doesn't.
And it makes you feel crazy.
It's crazy because when I've been a Christian, I've been a Catholic, I've dabbled into all that, so nobody could tell me nothing, literally nothing.
Yeah, literally.
And that's not to say that there's anything wrong with that. If it works for you, it works for you. If it makes you a better person, by all means, rock out with it.
Yeah.
For me, it worked at the time for me in wherever space I was at. Being a Catholic at the time when I was younger, my parents didn't really believe in anything. They just said they were Catholic because that's what everybody else said.
My parents, basically. Then when you have questions, they have nothing.
They have nothing to fucking say.
Nothing to say.
My
about
dad
nothing.
was the only one who would always say, you're the God and you're the devil. You choose which one you want to nurture the most. That's what he would always tell me. And here's something crazy. I'll get back to what I was saying, but my grandmother, I talk about this in my book, my grandmother had passed away when I was 4. And they kept telling me, mind you, I'm 4. I'm confused here. What do you mean she's dead? I don't get it. They were like, oh, ella se fue con Papa Dios. And they would point to the sky. And I used to be like,
okay.
I don't get it. So now we're at the funeral. And they're
see the body, right?
They're bringing the body
went through that.
down to the
what
fucking
are we
ground.
doing?
So me, being the 4-year-old that I am, I go and I said, you said that she went with Papa Dios up there, but you're putting her down there. And people started laughing. And my mom hit my dad and was like, don't laugh, like, tell her. And he's like, what is there to tell her? She's right.
Yeah.
She's right. Because at the time, I don't know anything about soul, about spirit, about body. I don't know. There's different energetic fields, all that come together. Oh, thank you, babe. I don't know that. So I'm just completely lost. And then I will never forget, my mom doesn't remember this, but I kept asking when does she come back? And My mom said that they come back later on, is what they said. And as a 4-year-old, I will never forget that I waited. And every time somebody died after her, I would put, in my head, okay, after this one comes back, then he's going to come back, and then he's going to come back. And it wasn't until I was about 7 that I will never forget that I really then understood what death was. And I cried so much by myself because I realized she was never coming back. And this is what I mean about, you have to start waking the fuck up, basically, because these are things that are going to damage your children. The lies that you were told that you now tell to your children are going to damage your children in some way, shape, or form. There was something else where at 4 years old, my mom had me watch The Exorcist. And I was actually traumatized till I was 20 years old, where I could not sleep on my back. I'm not kidding you. Hey, sister, I could not sleep on my back because I was afraid that I was going to get possessed and float up like her and all this other stuff. So do you see where I'm going here? Like, I was traumatized because I didn't understand. Like, yeah, they would be like, oh, it's just a movie, but inside your head when you younger, everything is 20 times bigger. Mm-hmm. And that was 20 times bigger to me. So that made me also afraid of religion. It made me afraid of church. It made me I was petrified of the movie. Yeah, it made me afraid of priests, So now I walked into those churches with my best friend because her parents used to go every Sunday and I was always with them, and I went. But when I was in those churches, I was scared. Like, I was fucking scared. And when I had to go and like do your confessions, get to the priests and stuff, I was terrified of these things. And when they would tell me like, oh, you just have to say 3 Hail Marys and 2 Our Fathers and you're forgiven. And I'm like,
how does that make sense? But okay. What? I'll do an extra one just in case.
Yeah. Like, yes, the omen too. But these kind of things. So it's like you have to be very careful. Like, I understand that. This is not to knock anybody's religion. I don't want anybody to think that, but I understand that you want to give your child something to believe in. Absolutely, we all do, right? We're not sitting here saying that you have to be a fucking what's it called? I forgot those people. An atheist. Mm-hmm. What I'm saying is, do you even know what you're really believing?
Or the rituals that you're performing.
The rituals that you're performing, do you even know what you're doing? Or are you doing it because you were told to do it and you just been programmed to do it, and then you're just going to pass it on to your child? That's not good.
And that it's genetically input into you to have traditions with your family. So it's like we have to understand that these programs are leeching on to our ancestral ways, to the natural ways that we are. And so this urge around Christmas to be with your family and to give them everything is natural. Those are like, we have to learn to separate what they're using us for and use it for ourselves. And that's why sovereignty was so important. And like the awakening of sovereignty didn't come into my life until, like, I knew I always had a sense. I've always been free.
Yeah, you always have it in you. You just don't know how to.
You just don't, like, it didn't start like coming out. Like, I didn't get to see the little tiny beam of light until I started asking you questions, and you kept giving me like I remember we were having conversations of like the history of our people, and I would explain to you of the Dominican Republic and the history, and how we had a dictator, and how we got what happened with that and all that stuff. So you weren't telling me anything. I was actually just, picking at you for conversation. Mm-hmm. And that initiated that domino effect into the rest of my life, where it was like, wow, I knew something was wrong. I felt it in me. And it's like, that was the major confirmation for me that someone else was already doing it. So it was like, it kind of, because I wasn't waiting. I just knew something was wrong, and I knew I had to do something about it, and I wasn't going to let anybody get in my way, and I didn't even know what that meant. I didn't know, but I know that's the feeling I had inside of me. But the second that I started getting the conversation with you, I was like, oh, wait, hold up. This is really possible. Not only is it possible, it's the way that we are supposed to live. It's our responsibility.
The responsibility.
And of course, they got us all running away from our responsibilities. Of course, you know?
Yeah.
But I do want to mention how important it is. It's not just anything with children. It really just isn't anything. We really, really, really need to understand. And I'm going to share this story to kind of get you guys into that perspective of why we need to be watching our kids, right? So I had Amodi's daughter was here, and she was talking about Peppa Pig, and she was putting videos for the children. And I was like, okay, first of all, I don't like shows that show them bad behavior, or that they act really
boss and shit.
And then forgive me after, and then it's like, oh, you know, you gotta forgive everybody for everything. No. We gotta hold ourselves accountable for what we did, and that's how it is, right? So first, that's one of the cartoons that I was like, maybe not, right? So then I have some other girl here that she's like a family friend, and she was here. She's 17 years old. So then Alana goes, and she was like, you don't know what happened to me when I was younger. I was watching an episode of Peppa Pig. She was like, and it started like a regular episode of Peppa Pig, and then it happened to be that Peppa Pig was addicted to bacon. So she would peel the piece of this cartoon, would peel and cook herself and eat it. And she watched this cartoon, and nobody knew that she watched it. And her mom didn't know the difference because the cartoon was very strategic and made it start like a regular episode and then escalated to that, right? And this is why I say, as parents, we only watched a little bit to be like, okay, are you good? You good? And then we kind of like are dismissive about what they watch. I make sure that they're watching it and that I don't have anything else on so I could hear and I'll be like, yo, what are you watching? Now, a lot of people might say, oh, that's just once in a lifetime, right? The girl that was here was like, oh my God, I saw that when I was like blah, blah, blah years old too. And she was 17 years old. So this is something that has been happening and we don't know about that, right? That's one thing. So we don't know. And I can't speak for all the cartoons, but I'll tell you that most of them are strategically made to make your kids annoying, to make them
they become brats.
And they purposely do that to your children so that you hate motherhood. Like, and okay, people don't want to take it there. That's fine. Reserve that for another moment when you'll realize that. But for right now, that's not your boat. That's cool. Let me tell you about those LOL dolls.
Ooh,
those LOL dolls. Yo, let me tell you something. I posted it on my page and I shared it with a lot of moms as much as I knew that they knew LOL dolls. And I was like, yo, go into the bathroom and soak those dolls in cold water so you can see what happens. They all have lingerie. They all have tattoos of pizza and everything on their backs and like on the like as a tramp stamp and all these things. And it's like, and we don't pay attention to that as parents because we see esta muñequita muy linda. And then when you put it in the cold water, it's like this, and you didn't see because you weren't in the bathtub with them the whole time. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's these little things that they're literally eating up at the way that we don't take care of our children. They are they're taking full-blown advantage that we got other responsibilities, and that's what they're doing to our children.
So many of the cartoons too we've seen now, when you look back, there's all these sexual indirects in them. There's also I saw one the other day, sorry, don't forget that.
Don't forget.
When it was a cartoon where it was like the big guy was the dark skin person, and then it was like the other person was a white cartoon, and they were like manipulating him, and then all of a sudden it was the dark person's land, and then afterwards they manipulated them to fall off the cliff. And when the person falls off the cliff, the dark skin person, all of a sudden the map says United States of America. Bruh.
In the cartoons. And like, we'll watch it and laugh about it. But it's like, yo.
They're showing you how they fucking stole the land.
It's crazy. But in case you guys think that it's only targeting like younger children, you have to also realize that my little sister goes to middle school. and she went to a book fair. And one day she came back with a whole stack of books. And I'm this type of person. It's not that I'm nosy, but I'm involved in the people in my lives. Like I'm very involved. Hey, what book did you get? Let me see. Maybe I could read it or whatever. And when I went to go grab the books, yo, she was in 6th grade. First of all, why were these books even in the book fair? It was like a comic anime, and it was all like girls touching their boobs. Oh, I was like, did I say that in front of your baby?
Yeah.
The girls were touching the boobs. They would wear like little tiny thongs, and they would go over the school outfit. And it's like, first of all, when she got home, my mom wasn't home. I saw those books and I confiscated those books because I was there. And I was like, she was going straight to her bedroom. And I was like, hey, like just seeking conversation. Like, how was your day? She was like, oh, it's really good. Like, I went to the book fair and I got mad books. And I was like, yo, let me see them. And then she was like kind of hesitant. And that's when I was like, nah, let me see the books. Like, let me see. And when I saw the books, I was like, you know that I can't let you keep these books. And she was like, I know, but they were at the book fair. Like, even she knew that, but because they were at the book fair, they automatically think it's okay because it's adults selling it to them. You know what I'm saying? So it's like we also have to be mindful of what's being presented to these children in school as to what's okay and what's not okay. It's a lot of things that we're not paying attention to.
Nah, wait, like let me tell you something. People think just because you're alive and you're walking around that your brain is Chocho? Oh, hold on, mama.
No, Chocho.
Yeah, I'll be right there in a second. They have a book about masturbation being normal. At my kids' school at 5th grade, they have a book about masturbation being normal.
Yeah.
My thing is, why do they have to teach our children the sexual part? I think that should be our job. I'm sorry.
And another thing that the reason why a lot of people, because we have the tendency to overprotect people when we don't even do that for ourselves. But okay, we overprotect parents and we'll be like, oh, there's a lot of kids that they don't learn that from their parents, like Dominican parents, they don't have those conversations. And it's like, okay, so because there's some parents that are not being responsible for their children, now we all gotta take it. Like, we all gotta be like, okay, even though I'm a responsible parent, even though I have a very specific and strategic timeline as to when I'm gonna have certain conversations about certain things with my children.
Exactly.
That doesn't mean that if something happens spontaneous, we're not able to adjust to those things. But it's like, yo, just because all these, I don't give a fuck about what these parents are doing. That has nothing to do with me.
Here's the thing. This is how we start the over-sexualization. Why you think, and we'll do a specific episode on this, but I'm gonna touch this.
Yes.
Why do you think that everybody has something in common? You know what that is? That there was a fucking molester in the family. That you either know somebody or know somebody who knows somebody who was molested by somebody in their family.
Exactly.
Because R. Kelly was molested by his sister, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Okay? Then you wonder why he turned into the person he turned into, the monster he turned into. I mean, dude, we're not even, first of all, we're not even taught about sex correctly.
Exactly.
Okay? Because
what
that's a sacred practice.
A ritualistic practice.
Yeah, ritualistic practice, and also ejaculation. Okay? People don't know that men are not supposed to ejaculate that much. That's actually their electricity and their force and their power. They actually can get to that point of climax and not supposed to climax. And that all goes back into their, it goes, rises up to the body. I think it goes through the spine and goes back up to the cerebral, wherever it goes.
To the brain and then
to the brain.
That's why when they ejaculate into us, we absorb it through our spinal cord. And then we become our men. We become one.
Yes. So there's a science to that. This is not just, we just fucking all willy-nilly, having fucking babies with whoever, not even having conscious children, you know, like conscious pregnancies, conscious conception, conscious sex. We're just out there running amok. Like, to me, it's crazy to me that I thought pornography and all these things were deacon normal. Because that's the way it was presented in my mom's family. Yeah. But as I started diving into other, you know, just life and meeting other people, and they would be like, "Ain't nobody watch that every day like that. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?" And I'm like, oh, like, not that I watched like that, but the men that I had in my
Yeah,
family,
the men
they did.
yeah.
They did. So I thought every man watched that shit religiously. Until I meet Greg, I meet my this other guy, and they're like, no.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? So this is the thing that we don't understand, that like everything, it's not just one thing. Everything has been lied to you. Everything was a lie to you to turn you into these docile program humans, over sexualized, that now what do we have? Now we have the slut walk. Now every woman got to prove themselves through their sexuality, because now they want to compete with men. Let me tell you something. I will never want to compete with a man, because I'm not a man.
Those are two separate
I'm a woman, and
entities.
I love being a woman.
And we're told to hate all those things that are natural to us. But I do want to put a word out there. Like, this might sound scary to a lot of people, because it sounded scary to me at the beginning. It sounded like, what is all of this? Like, what the hell am I doing here? Like, what is the purpose? And what is the point, you know? But I will say that if they have gone out of their way to do all of that, how powerful really are you, or am I, that all these systems had to be put in place in order to knock me out of my purpose?
Yep.
What power do I have? And so if we really truly understand that, and what we really do have the power to create in this life, that's when we realize why this is being done. And we ain't even mad anymore. We be like, oh, you want to play like that? I got you. I got you. Don't worry. You know, and that's how we switch up the game on them. It's like, I was having this conversation with Amaury, and it was like, you know, the way that I talk may seem like I want to change the world, and it's like, oh, this revolutionary that's gonna do all these things, and just like, and it's like, I used to get goosebumps when I used to think like that. I don't even get goosebumps anymore, because I realized that the change is me.
That's it.
I don't gotta do nothing else out in the world. I just gotta fix everything internally, and smooth sailing from there.
I gave up being Captain Save-A-Ho. I wanted to save everybody, because that's what happens when you go through your awakening. You want to tell everybody. You want to let everybody know. You want to save everybody. You're like, yo, nah, look, that was a lie. That was a lie. Come here. We could do this. We could do that. There's more of us than them. Yada, yada, yada. There's something that Supreme mentioned that I want to mention real quick. We're only called the minority, not because there's less of us, is because we think like minors. Yes, we have the mind of a minor, and we have to be governed because we don't know how to do shit for ourselves. That is why you are called a minority, and this is exactly what education, proper education, will teach you. And this is what
we keep repeating that too.
There's levels to this shit. So
you keep telling yourself, like, you don't have the ability to govern yourself.
You know, I'm a minority. I ain't no fucking minority, bitch. I'm a majority. I am the majority.
I am the one.
I govern myself, so I am no longer a minority. So fuck out of here with that bullshit. But these are the things we don't know. There are so many levels to this. The rabbit hole is deeper than you can ever imagine. Truth is stranger than fiction. I promise you.
And you don't have to believe everything. Like, I feel like sometimes people, like, it's like you were saying, there's levels to this, and there's certain places that you're not ready to enter. That's cool. There's still places that I'm not ready to enter that I know I gotta go with. I know I'll be there in a second. My mental ain't ready for that. So it's okay. Like, you don't have to agree with everything that I say, but you do have to acknowledge truth. And I feel like that's where we get lost. Yeah. Like I was saying about, keep going. I want to hear what you
I think where you have to start as anybody, whether you're a mother, whether you want to be a mother in the future, whatever the case is, or even if you're not, you have to start with dissecting your life from when you were a child to adulthood, and all the major things you subscribe to, financially, spiritually, emotionally, all these things, right? And you have to ask yourselves, did I just follow a script, or did I understand what I was actually reading? Because you could read a fucking book and not understand the book. It's called reading and comprehension.
Yeah.
And that's what we stop doing.
You could go back and quote it.
Right. We read now, but we don't comprehend shit. You have to be able to comprehend what you read. I don't know how many times I've read a page, and afterwards I'd be like, I don't even know what I just read. And I'll read it over, and I'd be like, oh shit, this shit was dope. but that's how majority of people are doing. Majority of people are walking dead. Like chemically, they are dead inside. Like this is why they can't hear you, they can't see certain things. Like you gain a different sight, and you're put like this, all your senses become heightened once you get into a certain awakening and awareness, that you see differently. Like you literally see differently, you hear things differently, you know. Now when I see certain things or what people say, you be like, do you hear yourself? Like, oh my God, like they sound crazy. But you know what, I too at one point didn't hear myself and the shit I was saying. Yep, learning to read versus reading to learn. Yep.
That's another thing, because they said that. I want to mention something. Like I'm teaching Enzo to read, and one of the things that I realized was that in school we were taught to learn to read by memorizing. Oh, this is the word. What is this word? Sight words. Like you just see them and you know what they are. You learning they're indoctrinating your children to memorize. So now, as I was teaching him, you know, that was the whole level. That's when I get goosebumps right there, because I didn't even think I would have the ability to teach him something so like essential to life, like to be able to communicate and things like that. So like when I was, you know, I was really nervous and everything, and then I felt so good. Like I felt like I was in a flow state because he was sounding out the words that I wasn't even teaching him. So like when he sees words, he's just inspired. Like he wants to sound it out and see. It's like you kind of activate initiation for them. Oh, let me try. But when you tell them to memorize, my sister is 12 years old, and I told her, hey, let's read this. She was reading something and she wouldn't even try to pronounce the word, and I didn't get it. I was like, yo, but just try. And she's like, nah, just tell me what it is. She googled it and put the voice so she could hear what the word sounded like. Those are the type of children that we're throwing off into the world, rather than one, you know, no, oh my God, not like they have to be like Enzo, but the fact that
because they're becoming dependent on something else. You know, when exactly what people need to understand, you hold every answer, you hold every power, everything that you need to be and live in your purpose in this existence, in this lifetime. You already have every single answer inside of you.
We were the seed.
That's it. You just have to remember. That's what you have to do. You have to remember. But in order to remember, you have to take out all the extra shit that was added on top of you, and its layers, and you got to remove it. And the more you keep removing, the more you start remembering your power. So this is why it's so important for you to tap into your awakening as a parent, because now you won't be the parent that are just going to dictate to your kids, do this, do this, do this. You're going to let them be. You're going to let them explore more. You're going to show them how it is to use their powers. You get what I'm saying? Like, you're going to show them that they're going to be free individuals, not dependent on a system, on a celebrity, on any of these things. They're not going to be, they're going to be dependent on themselves. And that's what we need to teach our children. But we can't do that if we're still stuck robotically following somebody and not being free inside.
Because in reality too, like, we don't realize, but there's a time or a phase that we go through in our own lives where we just want to be seen. And not only that, we go about our lives as if someone's watching us all the time, and we start acting dumb. We start acting that toxic because that's what we watch. That's what we do. We're mimicking all these people that we watch on TV. And we think, we go through a phase where we truly, deep inside ourselves, we think and believe that that's how we're presenting our lives. Like, okay, yeah, we're big stars. And it's like, no, girl, the more you go into yourself is where you'll realize the power that you have and the control you have in this show, rather than just being a player with no... Like, just rather than just being the piece with no player. Because that's what we all
everybody's a pawn.
Yeah, like, and you're not even the one controlling it.
You're not. They're controlling everything. I mean, look at what's happening now. You think about the censorship. You think about the fact that, you know, at first, I feel like racism wasn't working no more. As much as they were trying to push it, I feel like it wasn't working no more. That's not to say that it doesn't exist. You got to be at a certain level to understand what I'm saying. But now it's not people divided by race. Now there's family members that won't allow other family members to see. There's parents being divided. There's children being divided. There's couples being divided. Everybody's being divided now. And then
on a deep level,
they're now making you look at the family member or the friend that has been a part of this lifestyle of just, you know, not subscribing to everything they say, hate you even more.
mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Criticize you even more. But I'll tell you one thing. If there's anybody that's watching Fox 5 all the time or any type of news channel all the time, I will never argue with you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because I know where your mind is at. I don't watch none of those things. I have only Netflix and Hulu, and that's honestly, I watch certain TV shows as a writer to dissect, you know, formats and different things like that. I look at it with different eyes, you know, and I'm able now, because of where my consciousness is at, I'm able to watch something and only be entertained and not be programmed by it, because I can see things for what it is. So the stuff that are programmings, I'm like, yeah, I ain't about that shit. But if not, paying more than I've ever been paying, I needed them. However, the toxicity was the highest level I've ever experienced. You know what? I'm sorry. We're going to touch on that real quick.
Yeah, because that was a good one.
Because that's the thing, is that we will sit in these toxic environments and places for money. Because we were not taught the right way about money. We were not taught the right way about money. So now what we do is we chase it and we hold on to it. That's not the universal law of money. You feel what I'm saying? Also, you're not supposed to suffer to get the money. The money is
not an exchange
and come to you, right? But you know what? They put your back against the wall. Now you're like, well, I'm going to have to do this. And I'm going to have to sacrifice for my children. But what are you really sacrificing for your children? Because what you're sacrificing for your children is you.
Yeah.
It's
might
you.
Be exactly what they need.
You're sacrificing your mental health. I almost went literally crazy with the business I had. It was a fucking 6-figure, beautiful fucking business. The business is booming now because of COVID. And I let it go, and people probably looked at me like I was crazy. But you know what? It wasn't sitting right with me either, Diane. It wasn't sitting right with me either. Everything about it was taking me out of myself and who I was growing to be. It was taking me back now. I was becoming angry. I was becoming bitter. I was, you know, all these things. And I realized, like, no, I'm not going that person.
You were going against what's natural to you, because you know what's crazy, that a lot of the things that I talk about, I explain to people, and they'll be like, yeah, I get it, but nobody else is gonna get it.
Yeah.
And it's like, every time someone tells me that, it just shows me where their mindset is at, because it's like, no, you don't get it, and you're mad because I do get it, and I'm trying to tell you that this is something that other people can do, but because you don't think you're capable of doing it, you don't think I'm capable of doing it, and you don't think anybody else is capable of doing it. And it's like, we don't realize the things that we have to do for our generations. Because one of the things that I realized when I became a parent was that I was like, oh snap, I gotta secure the next 7 generations. I gotta secure, and that doesn't mean like, oh, money wise. No. I need to establish my foundation for my spiritual home. Yeah, my family is my home. Is my key to eternal life. And it's like, we need to also realize that all these things are spoken about one way or another, whether you want to think about it religious, spiritual, history, whichever way you want to. That's why everything is connected, because once you look at it through every aspect, it just makes sense no matter what way you look at it.
Once you respect yourself enough not to stay in toxic relationships, toxic jobs, more things are going to come to you. There's layers that has to be, you know, let go of energetically, because we hold on to these things within our bodies, you know. All these things, and then comes the fear that tries to take over you. But at the more that we keep listening to our intuition, to that voice that tells us, no, don't do that, or get out of there, I promise you that more and more bigger things and bigger opportunities are going to come into your life. I will never forget the minute COVID was going down and all the weird, like in the beginning of 2020, and I was on a production and I was pregnant. So then I was ready to go back after I gave birth. But then literally we got shut down right after that. And they were going to start the production. And I will never forget that they were like, you got to be tested 3 times a week. And at the time, I just didn't know what these COVID PCR tests were about. I did not trust it. And I just felt getting tested 3 times a week was excessive. I basically turned down a job for $10,000 that people were like, dude, just get tested. But you know what? It didn't sit right in my soul. It didn't sit right in my soul. I was like, this shit don't even, I'm good. I'm good. I thank you. I apologize, but I'm gonna have to pass on this one, and I'll catch on the next one, because I didn't feel comfortable. I something in me just wasn't right. And then it was like shortly after they started talking about how the PCR tests are fucking 90% false positives, and then they were talking about there's like particles inside of the
EO thing on the swab.
So you start to think about, like, what are we really doing? Like, we don't think about these things, and it's not to be, again, that person that, you know, overdoes it, but in this country,
you have to.
You have to, because
there's a history. There's a timeline.
This is not the thing with me is that when somebody else shits on you multiple times, when your friend does it, when your boyfriend does it, everybody does when people show me who they are, when people show you who they are, believe them. But the time the government does it, nobody believes it. Like, where's the same energy of when people show you who they are, believe them? These institutions that run this country has shown us who they are. The only difference now is that we have social media and we have all these different avenues where now people can visually show you.
Yeah. And not only that, like, we also have to realize that we have to separate the systems and the people. We have to separate the systems and the people. So when we talk about this, I'm not talking about all those freaking doctors and nurses that are at the hospital. No, I'm talking about the protocol that they have to follow in order to keep their job. So it's like, it's also annoying that it's like you say something and it's like, oh my God, you hate teachers. No, I actually love teachers.
I think that they're not respected.
They don't further educate themselves to realize that they're being played. And they're one of the people that get paid the less, but they spend the most time with your children. And it's like, we have to call the things as we see them. But it starts with us. Like the way that we can call ourselves out and be like, oh damn, why did I act like that? Or why did I think that? That's how we start healing the rest of the world, to be like, oh snap, that's why I didn't notice this. That's why I didn't notice that, because that was literally the same behavior that I was putting out into the world that I tried to normalize. That's not normal. You know? So it's like sometimes I'll have conversations with people, they'll be like, oh, ¿y qué tú vas a hacer entonces? I'm like, I don't know. I'm going to figure it out, because none of y'all was strong enough to be like, oh, let's start a path for the next generation. No. So I have to do that. And yes, that means like looking like a crazy person. Yes, that means like I'm going against the grain with everything. But you haven't seen what I've seen. I've seen what I built already. I have it in front of me every day.
You taking the car or the truck? All right. Sorry.
So it's like I see that every day in front of me. I've seen already what I'm able to do. So it's like cool if you don't see it, but keep your comments to yourself, because it's like there's changes happening here and they affect the rest of our lives.
They're in the computer bag that I have downstairs, right by the stairs. Oh.
Where Daddy going?
Daddy's going outside real quick. No, you know, but where we at? We at like 4:20. Wow, we could go on for days. But yeah, look, the point of this live too is just hold on, mama. It's just to make you realize walking out of the job, I secured 2 clean, exactly, boom. You see? Something better always comes. Something better always comes.
But
And
with more dignity.
Exactly. Like I was saying, the point of this live is an awakening is your truth. That's all it is living within your truth unapologetically and not worrying about what other people are going to think and being in that so fearlessly, because if you do that, you're going to raise better children. I promise you. But if we keep going about that, oh, well, my parents did it and there wasn't a problem. Oh, we did it before and there wasn't a problem. Times change.
A lot.
Okay, you have to evolve. If we keep doing what we did before, this is why we are still in the same situation we're in right now, because we keep saying,
some people don't even realize the situation that they're in. They don't. So it's like,
just the first thing you need to do is ask yourself, everything that I believe in, where did I get it from?
Mm-hmm.
Where did I get it from? Who taught it to me? And did I ever take time out to find out if that shit was true?
Mm-hmm.
Ask yourself that. And once you do that, I promise you, so many things are going to come up that's when you're going to start peeling off the layers. Why would I think that? Why would I believe this? That don't make no sense. That's gone. And you keep removing these layers out. And the more you keep removing these layers out, and the more you keep praying to whoever you pray to, whatever you subscribe to, ask for truth within yourself and truth within life. Because you know what? Once you get that, you will gain all the riches of life.
Yeah.
That will come to you, I promise you. But first, you need to know who you are. We don't know who we are. We know who we became. We don't know who we are. You have to know who you are. If as a mother, you're only passing this down because it was told to you, then you have to sit back and say, wait a minute, why am I passing this down? Do I want my children to be followers, or do I want my children to be leaders? Most of us, we always tell our children, don't be a follower, be a leader. But we're sitting here following everybody fucking else and then telling them to be followers.
Exactly.
We're hypocrites.
You know, also one thing that I realized is the amount of damage that we do to our children when we lie about little things. Like not little things, but about, for example, something that people think is so simple, like the Tooth Fairy and Santa Claus. Like, you don't understand what your children think of you when they discover like these things are not true. And it's like, what? Why would you even lie about that? Like, why would you tell me that a man is coming to my house to bring me gifts and then that ain't even true? Like, why? Okay, so
and better than an old white man at that.
Exactly.
And
we're Hispanic children, like, you know, Black or Hispanic children. It's like, first of all, that don't even make sense.
Here goes the white is right, brainwash otra vez. Like, no.
You know,
I will not give a fat white man credit for me working hard to give my children. I may not subscribe to everything about Christmas, but I do give my children gifts because they're older. They see things on TV, and I give them gifts. But giving them these gifts, I'm not gonna sit there and say this. Oh man, I understand you want.
It's a tradition.
I understand all those things.
We gotta make new traditions though, as a people. Like, we gotta make different ones.
Yes, we subscribe to the traditions and the holidays that they gave us. Again, ask yourself, everything you subscribe to, where did you get it from? Because there's so many other things that our ancestors actually subscribed to that became demonized.
Exactly.
And we don't subscribe to it anymore because we've been told that we're not supposed to subscribe to that.
Yeah.
You feel what I'm saying? So everything.
I always
do not think that you can't change the game. You can make your own damn holiday. You can make your own traditions. You could do what you want to do. It's your life. It's your family. Stop allowing these institutions to tell you when you're going to spend time with your family, when you're going to do this or that. Like, no, we have to take control and shift the generation of who is shifting, because as long as we discipline ourselves to keep doing it with them, they're going to take it on.
Exactly.
That when I saw you, let me say something. The minute their father leaves,
right?
I got to hear 20 times, where's that at? Where's that? I'm going to hear this until he comes back, which he's not coming back for a little while. I'm going to hear this. I'm going to hear this all day.
The whole after.
It's so cute though, but anyways, I could go on forever with you girls. But yeah, you know what I mean. Like I said, the point of this is ask yourself. That's all it is. I don't want you to think that we're trying to, you know, like criticize or knock you or anything in your beliefs and your traditions and all these things. All we're asking you to do is to be an independent thinker. That's it. To think for yourself, because you don't know how much shit you're only doing and thinking because somebody told you to.
Mm-hmm.
So many things. And at one point that has to stop, because I don't want my children to subscribe to this systematic way of doing things religiously, all these holidays, all these things that at the end of the day have no spiritual meaning to us as people. They have no connection to us.
They leech out of the energy that is our ancestors' energy. Those are the traditions that they initiated. That's the times that they picked. That's you know, like there's certain things happening in the cosmos at that time, but we don't know any of that because we're stuck in this like cycle of like, okay, this is the information you got, this is how it is, this is how you live. And it's like the second, like for example, let's say we're all stuck in like a cage, right? And then we do something and we are able to grow and we find a hole and we find a way out. Now we have a whole different perspective. That's literally life. Like you have to keep elevating yourself to see the different aspects that you weren't able to see anymore. Every time you raise up, you're like, oh, that's why this person was acting funny, because they were able to see that and we're not able to see it from down there because we don't have those perspectives. And it's like all it takes is to have a question with have a conversation with someone else, and that's how you can initiate your awakening. Like the same way when Jenn was believing something that I thought was completely insane, and I was like, why do you think like that? And then when she told me, it all made sense, and now my world was going all over the place, and I'm like, oh shit, what's real, what is not real? And then I realized that it was because she saw something that I wasn't able to see. Now that I'm able to see it, you know, I might come off as crazy, but it's saving me though. It don't matter. Like I'm dodging all the bullets.
You know how many people, when me and my husband got into our awakening and he started posting stuff, because my husband is the king of I don't give a fuck.
I love his post.
Okay? He is ruthless. Like I have a little bit more. I be feeling, you know, like let me not go that hard. You know, I feel feeling bad for people because you can hit him real hard. He don't give a shit. Like he does not give a shit, which I love about him. But you know how many people that we know personally stopped following him and were really like, I remember one time somebody hit me and they were like, does Greg not believe in God? And I was like, the fact that you're asking that says a lot. I'm like, actually he probably believes in God more than anyone. More
than you, exactly.
That's
not the God that you believe in.
Right, though. You know, Virgo, yep. You know, and my husband's a very analytical person. He pays attention to detail. Like he does not play. Like you don't ever want to smoke with my husband when it comes to any of that. I promise you. There was one time, a woman, I felt bad. She was in get down. She was coming from this church retreat and she made a big mistake of asking my husband something, and I felt bad because the minute he answered her with the same book he used on her, the same book she came at him, he used the same book on her. And he said, but that doesn't say this here, and it only says it here. And when he showed it to her, her whole face turned ghost white, and she was like, that's what she kept doing. And then afterwards, she was like, oh yeah, we have to go. It looks like the bus is leaving. Yeah, okay. Okay, because she couldn't say nothing back. But anyways, my point in saying this is that there's so many people that at first were very turned off and were very like, yo, what are they going through? And then later on, they were like, yo, can I ask you a question? And boom, everything that we were talking about, that they got upset about, that they were offended about before because they didn't know, now they were in that awakening where they were like, yo, I don't know who else to talk to, but I know I could talk to you and G. And then they'll start opening up and asking us questions. And then they'd be like, yo, I'm not going to lie. I thought y'all were bugging out and y'all were crazy.
And you were like, I know.
And I'm like, I know. It's fine. Y'all all
but that's the beauty of it, though, that it's like, whether people want to awaken or not, it's okay. Like, the world is always going to be the world no matter what. But now if you can put yourself at a different position while the world is getting, you know, reactivated or destroyed, or whatever perspective, or, you know, whatever perspective you have on the world, when you see it, you'll be like, oh.
It's all about perspective. It's all about perspective. I had an awakening recently. I'm not going to share too many details here. Danesha, you know about it, but it was like about a week ago. Yeah, actually Tuesday will make a week. And what that showed me was how much I took myself for granted, how much I took my family for granted. I know that may be weird to hear, but we do take these things for granted. We take our lives for granted because, okay, we wake up every day and we're in this robotic routine. But we have to understand that there has to be control in that. Because if we don't have control, we are literally just walking zombies. And we don't want our children to be that. So we have to walk every day with gratitude. We have to also understand the powers that we have. And we have to tap into those powers. And in order to tap into those powers, you're going to have to tap into some truths that are going to make you very, very uncomfortable. And if those truths are making you uncomfortable, then that means you need to dive deeper.
Mm-hmm.
You need to dive deeper, because there is a thing called cognitive dissonance where your brain will be like, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it, and dismiss it.
Yeah.
But open yourself up to hear and learn things that don't make you feel comfortable, because you never know what you are going to learn. When I started doing that is when the world opened up to me, and I am the most freest person inside. I am the richest I have ever been. And it is because of me choosing to open my eyes and hear different perspectives.
Yeah.
And realizing who I truly am, not who I became.
Yeah. And also I feel like we forget what things are actual tools.
Yeah.
Like, social media, the same way as money, the same way as technology, they're all tools.
Yeah.
Like, yes, you can find the worst out of all those
Absolutely.
things, or you can find the best out of all those things.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's the same way as like us. We got to be neutral with ourselves and understand that it's like, we can use ourselves for good or we can use ourselves for bad. So this whole world that we complain about, it's us, it's you get to decide what that world is and what it looks like. So it's like, once we get to understand that perspective on the whole thing, then we're like, I wonder what else like falls under this, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I feel that sometimes we hear these things and we're like, oh, we don't want to go through it, we don't want to do all of that. But it's like, the world is happening anyways.
Yeah.
It's happening anyways. Like, my mom always had a saying, el tiempo pasa como quiera. And it took me 30 years to understand that saying, because now as an adult, I'm doing all the things that I didn't, and it might not be visual. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not visual. All my growth is happening within. And then that's I'm using myself as a tool to manifest the life that, first of all, I already have the life that I want, but to get myself out of the way, because life is happening anyways. I just want to get out of the way so that it can happen, because it's going to happen anyways. It's like, if you know the tsunami's coming, are you just going to stay there because you can't stop it? Or are you going to build your ass a boat? You're going to build your ass a boat, you know? And that's what we need to understand, that all these things, everything is a tool, everything. We ourselves are tools, because our brains work as tools. Like, literally everything in the world mimics some type of human experience. When we watch TV or we watch anything on screens or take pictures, that's mimicking our brains. When we look at like satellites and stuff like that, that's mimicking our hair. Like, we are alive. We pick up frequencies. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, the second we can really realize who we truly are. And I know we say it a lot, like, oh my God, I'm Danesha and blah, blah, blah. No, it's not like that. It's understanding what is true to you. What is your actual way of being, and not what someone molded you to be. For example, no, that's a whole nother thing. I don't want to go into that. It's about like the single woman mentality, right? That's something that they really preached on to the generation before me.
Yeah.
So that's things that lingered on not only to my mom, but guess what? To me, which if I didn't take care of that was then gonna go on to my daughters.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like if we realize the plan, we can prepare. But we're told to just live and live. And it's like, yeah, but if you prepare to live, you get out of the way and you're not in the way. You know, like it's just,
Yeah.
it's not about,
And that comes, yeah, with having your truth. Once you have your truth, you start moving out your way more and more. And that's why you got to keep seeking truth. You got to keep seeking wisdom. You got to keep seeking knowledge. Because, okay, I'm 39 and I've learned so much up to this point, but I know there's going to be another level of something else I'm going to learn. Tristan, can you put Troto for her? Does any of kids watch Troto?
what is that?
Roll already.
No, can you put it again though for her?
I don't have time to do that.
He don't have time to do it. Oh,
I thought Enzo
you're
was
busy?
gonna have a book like that. I was like, oh, you got to
okay.
watch it?
Done.
I'm trying to make the world.
You're making the world? Well, rock on, buddy. All right, Kalani, Kalani, you hear me? I sound like a teacher. A teacher's from like Europe. She's like, Kalani. Let me get out of here because Greg left, so I'm by myself. So you know they're gonna be coming to me. And DK Tristan don't have time because he's building the world.
Girl, at least he's building something and not our demise.
I can't even be mad at him for that, you know, because at first I was taken back like you don't have time, but you know what?
It's all perception. It's like when people
What am I gonna do? Force him to be like, no, you do have time. No, if he's really into something.
I mean, I'll be like, listen, do your sister a favor because I'm asking you.
You know, but you know,
not all the time though. Not all the time.
El problema es que he's bien emocional. So if I would, you know what I mean, it would have been like,
yeah.
And sometimes you gotta pick your battles.
Of course, that's another thing I've learned. You know,
I have a long day. I don't want to deal with no crying. I'm by myself with them right now. If you in your world, buddy, and you busy, rock on. I'll come right now to help her.
Yeah, for real.
But thank you guys for anyone who watches afterwards, for our little village that comes in all the time to rock out with us. Next week is gonna be really exciting because we're gonna be talking about breastfeeding, and I have a lactation consultant, Kimberly Durden. Look her up. She owns Kindred Space LA, which is a birthing center out here in LA. She's actually in my documentary. She's one of my featured lactation consultants in my documentary. So we're gonna have her with me and Danesha next week, and we're gonna be debunking all the myths about breastfeeding. So I'm excited about that.
Me too.
So yes, thank you guys. We'll see you guys next week. Oh, they want to say bye.
Bye. Bye, Kalani. Bye, Celeste.
My grandma did my jump rope.
I love your jump rope. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Hi.
Yeah. Mommy took me to shopping.
Your mom took you shopping?
No shopping.
Oh my God, girl.
Oh, it fell. Okay, say bye. We gotta go. Say bye to everybody. Bye. Bye. Bye.
Bye.